Yeah, I could have turned pro after sophomore year, but I just knew I wasn't ready. It was kind of a game time decision if I wanted to.
A year ago, Phil Mickelson looked across the golf world and saw exactly what he wanted. Not a major champion, not a grizzled veteran, a 21-year-old amateur with a swing that seemed too smooth for someone his age and a resume that read like a prophecy. His name was Jackson Koivun, and Mickelson wanted him badly enough to say so, in public, for the entire golf world to see. Picture it, Mickelson, six-time major winner, architect of some of the most audacious shots in the game's history, sitting with one open seat left on his LIV Golf team, the HyFlyers. He had just watched Andy Ogletree get relegated, and suddenly there was a vacancy that needed filling with something special. So he turned his attention to Auburn, to a kid who had already claimed the sport's most prestigious amateur honor as a freshman, who had an award named after Mickelson himself sitting on his shelf. And Mickelson didn't hold back. He posted his admiration publicly, calling Koivun an amazing talent, destined for greatness, joking that he'd look great in a HyFlyers uniform. A wink at the end of the message. But everyone understood. This wasn't just flattery. This was a recruitment pitch laid bare for the world to see. And here's where the tension begins. Because LIV Golf, since its explosive arrival on the scene, had built its entire identity around poaching the game's biggest names. Mickelson himself, Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Brooks Koepka, superstars lured away from the PGA Tour with staggering sums of money and the promise of something different. So when Mickelson set his sights on Koivun, it wasn't just one player chasing a prospect. It was a symbol. It was the next chapter in golf's ongoing tug-of-war, a battle for the sport's very soul, playing out through the recruitment of one gifted young man. But Koivun said no. He chose to stay. He chose the PGA Tour, the grind, the uncertainty, the six-figure paydays that dwarfed in comparison to what LIV could offer, but came wrapped in something LIV couldn't promise: legitimacy, tradition, a path carved by the legends who came before him. And so Mickelson, denied his prize, pivoted. He found Michael Sasso instead, an Ole Miss product willing to make the leap, someone who skipped the 2026 Masters entirely just to join the Soderback Tour. The HyFlyers got their man, just not the one Mickelson wanted most. Now fast forward to a fairway at the 3M Open, where the story comes roaring back into focus. Because there was Koivun, no longer just a name on a recruiting wish list, no longer just potential wrapped in a college jersey. He was standing in the final round with the lead, the actual lead, and chasing him down the leaderboard was none other than Scottie Scheffler, the world number one, the most dominant force in golf, a man who does not chase leads so much as devour them. Think about the weight of that moment. A rookie, barely into his professional career, having already stumbled out of the gate with a missed cut in his very first start. That's how it began for Koivun. Not a triumphant debut, a gut punch, a missed cut, the kind of result that makes young players question everything, that makes commentators whisper about pressure and expectations crushing another prodigy before he even gets started. But Koivun didn't fold. He answered back almost immediately, clawing his way to a top 10 finish at the ISCO Championship, proving that first stumble wasn't the story. It was just the setup. And then came the 3M Open, and the lead, and Scheffler bearing down like a storm on the horizon. This was the moment. This was the test. Everything Koivun had chosen, everything he had turned down, was about to be measured against the game's very best, in real time, with no amateur status left to hide behind. Because that's the thing people forget. The jump from college golf to the professional tour isn't just a change of scenery. It's a complete unraveling of everything familiar. Koivun himself talked about it, about how different life becomes once you leave campus behind. In college, he said, you're surrounded by 6 or 8 close friends, competing together every single day, sharing the highs and the lows as a team. But out here, on tour, it's isolating. You still have your select few friends, sure, but every single one of them is also your rival. Every one of them is fighting for the exact same thing you are: a job, a paycheck, a career. He admitted he felt that isolation creeping in last summer, and that he expected to feel it even more now, as the reality set in that this wasn't a season. This was his life now, and the only choice was to find a way to enjoy every step of it. That's the psychological gauntlet Koivun chose when he turned down Mickelson. Not the guaranteed money, not the team camaraderie of LIV's format, the loneliness of competition, the week-to-week uncertainty of the PGA Tour, all in exchange for something he believed mattered more. And now, with hindsight sharpening the picture, that decision looks less like a gamble and more like a vindication. Because look at what's happened to the road not taken. Brooks Koepka, one of LIV's marquee stars, has found his way back toward the PGA Tour, a stunning reversal for a league that once symbolized permanent departure. LIV Golf itself is staring down the possibility of a dramatic contraction, maybe even collapse, its future murkier than at any point since its competitive launch. And Mickelson, the very man who tried so hard to recruit Koivun, the same man who once eagerly courted the amateur superstar, has missed almost his entire season, sidelined not by injury or performance, but by personal family struggles that have kept him away from the game entirely. So here's the story, laid bare. A 21-year-old faced a fork in the road. One path glittered with guaranteed riches and the magnetic pull of a legend's personal endorsement. The other offered nothing but grinding uncertainty, isolation, and the need to prove himself against the best golfers alive week after relentless week. Koivun chose the harder path. And as Scottie Scheffler closed in on him at the 3M Open, as the pressure mounted in real time under the brightest lights professional golf can offer, that choice was being tested in the most public way imaginable. Whatever happens next in his career, one thing is already true. Jackson Koivun didn't just decline an offer from Phil Mickelson. He bet on himself, against a league in turmoil, against a legend now absent from the game, and against the loneliest, most demanding proving ground in golf. And so far, the story suggests he made the right call.